Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
This one, we're digging into something that I think a lot of you are interested in, and that's the Arizona Diamondbacks offseason.
Big move.
Yeah, big moves, and how that, positions them for this coming season.
Absolutely.
We found this really interesting analysis on Planet of Baseball,
Yeah.
which really dives deep into some of the reporting from Steve Adams over at MLB Trade
He's
Rumors.
a good one.
Yeah, so, we want to get into that today and really try to unpack what the Diamondbacks did, why they did it, and what it all means for, their hopes of getting back to the playoffs this year after, just barely missing out last season.
Yeah, after that magical run in 2023,
Hmm.
I think fans are ready to see them back in October.
Absolutely. And when you think about it, they really came close in 2024, so you can understand why they might be feeling like, all right, let's make some adjustments and really go for it.
Makes sense to me.
So let's jump right into it. And maybe the biggest story of the whole offseason for them has to be the acquisition of Corbin Burnes.
Oh, yeah, that was huge.
6 years, $210 million. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the most expensive signing in franchise history.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big statement. I think that's the one thing that really jumps out at you is that they're serious.
Right. They're not messing around.
They're not messing around. No, and I think the other thing is that it shows they're really trying to build a rotation that can you, not just compete, but dominate.
Right, like a true ace at the top of the rotation.
Exactly, because you think about it, you pair a guy like Burnes with Zach Gallen, and suddenly you've got this incredible 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that's tough to beat.
And that's something that Planet of Baseball really emphasizes is that, in a playoff series in those big games, having those guys at the top can really change the whole dynamic.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. But then you look at the offensive side of things, and there are some holes to fill, right? They lost Christian Walker, Jock Pedersen.
Yeah, they lost some pop there for sure.
Um, so so how do you see that playing out? They brought in Josh Naylor from the Guardians to play first base.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because I think if you look at Naylor's track record, he's got the potential to be a real impact bat, especially from the left side.
Right, he's got that left-handed power.
Yeah, and his WRC plus over the last 3 years is 120, which is, significantly above average.
That's really impressive.
But the big question, and this is something that Planet of Baseball brings up, is how he's going to adjust to Chase Field.
Yeah, that's a good point because, Chase Field, it's not exactly known for being a hitter's paradise, especially for lefties.
Right. It could be tricky.
So, yeah, that'll be an interesting one to watch. Then you've got the bullpen, which was another area of some concern after losing Paul Sewald.
Yeah, they needed to address that for sure.
And it seems like they weren't able to land one of those, really big name closers like Devin Williams or Ryan Helsley.
Yeah, those guys were off the market pretty quickly.
But they did sign Kendall Graveman.
That's a really intriguing pickup.
It is, and on a pretty low cost deal too, right? Only $1.35 million.
Yeah, and I think if you look at his numbers from, let's say, 2020 to 2023, he was putting up a 2.78 ERA.
Wow.
Over almost 200 innings, 56 holds 24 saves.
Hmm.
I mean, that's a guy who knows how to get outs.
Those are some really solid numbers.
Yeah, he was really good for a few years there. So the question is, can he get back to that level?
And I guess if there is the shoulder injury he's coming off of, right?
Yeah, that's the one thing that Planet of Baseball really highlights is that if he's healthy, this could be a steal.
It could be a game changer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it all hinges on that shoulder.
So you're saying it's a little bit of a gamble, but with a potentially huge payoff.
Yeah, exactly. High risk, high reward.
Interesting. And then they also brought back Randall Grichuk.
Yeah, he had a really good year last year, especially against lefties.
Right. He really mashed lefties.
Yeah, his numbers against left-handed pitching were fantastic. 319 batting average on base percentage, close to 390. And he was slugging the ball, too.
So it seems like they're bringing him back for a very specific role.
Yeah, I think he's going to be that guy they used to balance out the lineup because they've got a lot of left-handed hitters in the outfield.
Right. So he's that right-handed bat off the bench that can come in and really exploit those matchups.
Exactly. And, that's something that managers love to have is that flexibility to, mix and match depending on who's pitching.
So it makes a lot of sense. And then they also locked up their shortstop, Geraldo Perdomo, with a contract extension.
That was a smart move.
Yeah.
I think they're really high on him.
Yeah, it seems like they see him as a key piece of the future.
And, he's still young, but he's already shown a lot of improvement, especially at the plate.
He's definitely trending in the right direction.
And don't forget about his defense. He's a really solid defender at shortstop.
And he can run the bases, too.
Oh, yeah, he's got some speed. 25 steals and 30 attempts over the last 242 games.
That's impressive.
So he's a guy who can contribute in a lot of different ways, and I think they see him as a core part of their team moving forward.
Yeah, it seems like they're really building something special there.
Yeah.
And then looking ahead, Planeta Baseball talks about Jordan Lawlar and his development.
Ah, yes, the future at third base.
Right. It seems like they've got him penciled in for that spot down the road.
Yeah, especially with Eugenio Suarez's contract expiring after this season. They're definitely thinking long term.
So while they're trying to win now, they're also keeping an eye on the future.
Absolutely. They're trying to build a sustainable winner.
And it's interesting to see how much money they're willing to spend to make that happen, over $216 million in free agency this offseason.
Yeah, that's a big number.
It shows you that the ownership is committed.
They want to win, and they're willing to invest to make it happen.
And even though they didn't get that, big name closer, Planeta Baseball seems to think that they're pretty confident in the guys they have. A.J. Pokes, Justin Martinez, Kevin Gingle.
Yeah, I think they believe in those guys, and they've all shown flashes of brilliance.
So it's not like they're completely lacking in options.
Right. It's just a matter of whether they can put it all together.
So let's kind of sum this all up, based on this deep dive into what Planeta Baseball is saying. What's the overall picture of the Arizona Diamondbacks as they head into the 2025 season?
I think the biggest takeaway is that they've made a big investment in their starting rotation, addressed some key needs on offense and in the bullpen, and they've got a good mix of veterans and young players.
And they've got a higher payroll than a lot of people were expecting.
Yeah, they're spending money, and they're not afraid to do it.
But as Planeta Baseball points out, there are still some question marks.
Of course, there always are in baseball.
Can they stay healthy? Can the young guys continue to develop?
Those are the big ifs.
And that's kind of the beauty of baseball, right? You never really know how things are going to play out.
It's a long season. Anything can happen.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive into the Arizona Diamondbacks offseason moves, thanks to the analysis from Planeta Baseball and the reporting of Steve Adams.
Yeah, it was a good one.
We've seen a team that's clearly determined to get back to the postseason.
They're hungry.
And they've made some significant moves to try to make that happen.
I think the big things to remember are, that huge investment in pitching. With Burnes coming in, the moves they made to fill those holes on offense and in the bullpen, and the fact that they're not just focused on this year, but also on the future with guys like Perdomo and Lawlar.
So as we wrap up here, it really makes you think about what it takes to build a winning team in baseball.
It's a complex puzzle.
You need talent. You need resources, you need a good plan, and then you need a little bit of luck along the way.
Yeah, and you need those players to perform up to their potential.
So for all you Diamondbacks fans out there, what defines a successful offseason for you? How do you feel about the moves they made, and what are your expectations for the 2025 season?
I'm excited to see how it all unfolds.
It's going to be an interesting year, that's for sure.
Definitely one to watch.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See you.